Good start to an important week. I thought they came out with good focus and energy, and so we're off and running. So fire away. All right, thanks. What's that?
Looking back at the 3 years, you've obviously had a lot of success in this week in particular. Has there been anything you kind of nailed down over the years?
No common thread. Like I said on Sunday in our conference call, it's every game's different. Every game has its own personality. We've just been fortunate to play well and get some breaks and get some wins. But to me, every week, every year, every team, every situation is different. You just have to come out and you have to prepare well during the week and then execute well on Saturday. So that's what we'll try to do our best to do.
What's your assessment of how Nate Metters has looked in corner?
He had a good game on Saturday, and if we choose to put him out there again on Saturday, I'm sure he'll get better. But that's still to be determined. Johnny Johnson's back now. He hasn't been healthy the last week and a half, so Johnny's back, and Ish is feeling better. So, but I thought Nate stepped in on Saturday and did an admirable job.
A true freshman going from safety to corner like that. I mean,
that's what our defense has had to do this year, is mix and match and shift guys around and ask guys to do some things that they're not comfortable with early just because of some of the personnel issues that we've had that are well documented. So I think it says a lot about his character and his toughness and his competitiveness.
Utah and Colorado both kind of slowed the pace of the game down. We're trying to run fewer plays against you compared to some of the other teams. Is there a concern, or not really concern, but just an awareness that could happen this week?
Oh, I didn't get that feeling out of those two games at all. No, I didn't think they slowed it down. I mean, they didn't huddle. They just went at their normal tempo. So, that's the first I've heard of that or thought of that. Sorry about that.
Just seemed like there are fewer plays.
Well, I don't know that is the case. I think that's just the way they play offense. So I'm sorry, I'm not trying to disagree with you. It's just I didn't notice that. Yeah.
What have you seen from Jayon this season, especially in terms of his development? Stepping into a position that maybe he wasn't as comfortable in. It seems like he's really gotten his sea legs there.
He actually, he's playing the position that he's played now. We had to ask him to do some things, kind of mid-season that weren't typically what he would do, but starting with camp, we kind of felt like he was a guy that had starter ability, and he's just come a long ways in the 3 years that he's been here in terms of the way he prepares, his professional approach to it, and we always knew he was athletic and played with a lot of energy and was a good tackler and things like that. But I think just for him, it's just taking advantage of this opportunity that he's got and doing a nice job for us.
What's usually the key for guys that had primarily played special teams to transition into a larger role on defense?
Well, when you play special teams, it's a one snap proposition. You're one snap and then you're off the field. You can regain kind of your sense of what's going on and prepare for the next play. When you're playing every down, it's things are coming at you awfully quick, so you've got to be able to get refocused real quick. So I think that's one of the differences. And then, dealing with the stress of playing every down, and things are coming at you fast. Dealing with, the fatigue aspect of it. But, the guys that we recruited typically were, full-time players in high school. Many of them played both ways. So it's just kind of going back to what they know.
With some of the changes on the offensive line, does Jake's presence become more important in the week of practice, him being vocal with some of the younger guys?
Well, I don't know that we have changes on the offensive line. We did in the game. We had to make a couple moves in the game when Alex got hurt and when Connor got hurt, but that doesn't mean that we're going to have changes this week. But it doesn't really matter who's in there. Jake is in command. It all starts at the center. That's the guy who makes the calls. That's the guy who points out things, adjusts protections, gets guys on the right page. When we do go to silent count, which we did against Utah, he's the guy that's called the cadence. And so to have a guy that started 50 games at UCLA and, broke an all-time record for games started as that guy, as that center, as that voice, as that decision maker, I think it's pretty comforting for us as coaches, and I've got to believe for the guys around him it's very comforting as well, and the guy that he's snapping to. So, the value that he brings to this team, that Jake Brindle has brought to this team and continues to bring to this team, it's really immeasurable.
Given what you've seen out of Colton this year, how confident are you in him if he needs to kind of play?
If he needs to play, I think he'll play well. You know, he's gotten a lot of experience this year. He's played against good players and played well. He's had to play both sides. I don't think he lacks for confidence. You know, he's a big athletic guy, and I think just the experience that he's gotten this year is really valuable for him. Not only if he has to play this week or in the bowl game, but, you know, also for the future. He's going to come into spring with great confidence. You know, he's going to have a battle on his hands. I mean, he's got, you know, we've got Caleb and we've got Connor out there. So, but it's nice to have 3 tackles that you really have a lot of confidence in.
You're going to face your 4th different coach in USC games. I know you said there wasn't a common thread. Does that have something to do with it? You know, each guy brings a little bit different sort of approach especially into a game like this where there is, you know, a lot on the line, a lot of emotion.
I don't worry about their approach. You know, you're breaking down their schemes and their tactics and and the way they manage a game and the decisions that they make during a game. Those are the things that you're studying so that you have a chance when the game is being played to make the right decision on your end. So certainly there's not as much familiarity when you face, you know, 4 different coaches, but you know, people change through the years, they adapt, so every week's different anyway.
How much does it help when you're getting into a situation that can be passionate, emotional, to have stability like you guys have had for?
Well, I think we're getting there. You know, I thought last week was a really positive step in the right direction. Just going into an environment like Utah and playing against a really good team that had a lot on the line, and being able to keep our poise in a hostile environment, in a tight game, and play the way we did. So I think that's always important. I mean, you know, these games are emotional. They're, you know, all rivalry games are emotional. They're just a little bit different. But the key is to, you know, keep your wits about you and go out and execute to the best of your ability. And that typically is the team that wins, the team that's able to do that. You know, not make mistakes, play with great technique, play with great focus, play with great effort. And that's what we're going to focus on.
Jordan Payton breaking the school's all-time receptions leader. How valuable was his presence this year for him to come back and help out kind of Josh?
Oh, very valuable. You know, I mean, that's just one. I think we broke 48 offensive records since we've been here. Maybe it's even more now. Maybe it's 49 now since he broke that. But, you know, I don't know that UCLA's seen a 4-year run of offensive production like we've had here. You guys would know better than I would, but to be able to say that he's, you know, a guy that's week in and week out just been so dependable for us. He gives us stability and, you know, comes up with a big catch when you need it. And any time that you have a record set like that, I think it's, you know, the credit typically goes to the individual player, but I think Jordan would be the first guy to tell you that it's a product of everything. It's being in the right scheme. It's being coached by a guy like Eric Yarber. You know, it's having the good fortune of playing, you know, with a quarterback like Brett Hundley and now Josh Rosen. It's, you know, it's being able to come out here and compete every day in practice against really good players. It's a, you know, a play caller like Noel that knows when to get it to him at the right time. It's an offensive line that protects. It's having a running game so they can't just always play cover 2. But, you know, ultimately it comes down to Jordan, you know, making those catches, and we're very, very proud of him and very excited for him.
Having a guy like that who makes all those catches but also blocks the way he does all the little things, how nice is that to have kind of a star player like that?
Well, that's what you want. You know, you typically your leaders are your best players, and your guys that embody everything that you're looking for in your program and in your culture, and that's certainly Jordan. You know, from his work ethic off the field, in the classroom, I'm talking about the meeting room, to the way he comes out and he practices, to his focus on game day and through the week, and just the real professional demeanor that he demonstrates every day is exactly what you want, because he's the guy that the young guys look towards. And he, you know, for a college young man, he's a true pro. He has a lot of pro qualities, and you know, let's hope he can finish out his career in a positive way. And I know he's going to have an outstanding career at the next level.
Other pro players you've been around who kind of fit a similar mold as Jordan?
Yeah, I've said this a couple times. I don't know if I've said it to you guys, but the 2 guys that he most reminds me of are Anquan Bolden and TJ Hushmanzada. And I think he has the qualities that those guys have. I think he's much like TJ in that he has a great awareness of how to set people up in zone. He uses change of pace and stems very, very well. And he's a very secure catcher at the ball. And then in terms of the way Anquan plays with anger, and he's violent, and he has a great attitude about him that he can't be beaten. He loves to block. He likes to try to run through people. You know, you see Jordan that fights and scratches and struggles for every yard. So when I've watched Jordan, those are the two guys that he most reminds me of.
What's your familiarity with Coach Helton, and what have you
I
thought
don't
about?
believe that we know each other. I'm sure maybe we've met along the lines. You know, you meet so many people in this business, but I don't have a familiarity with him personally. Professionally, obviously, you know, you study them and you do, and I have great respect for what he's done. I think that, you know, anytime you step into that situation, it's difficult. I've been in that situation, not as a head coach, but I've been on a staff where there's been change, actually twice in my career, and it's very, very difficult. And it takes a special person to step into that role and keep it going the way that he has. You know, that's a tremendously talented team, and he's done a tremendous job of keeping them on track.
What happened in those situations for you when you were on the staff?
One was in San Diego when Don Coryell got fired, and they made Al Saunders the head coach, and we did okay. You know, we did okay. We weren't as talented, you know, comparable as you know, our opponent this week. I mean, it's just you're talking about talent all over the place. And then the other time was in New Orleans, and we did okay. You know, it's a little bit more difficult in the NFL. I think it's not as hard, I don't think, at this level. Plus, you know, I think Coach Helton had a lot of familiarity with this, and I think he'd done it before at one point for a game, so it wasn't new for him. But he's done a great job with a very talented team. It's a challenge for us.
All right, thanks guys.